Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime. And I am your host, as always, Professor Prime. So, I want to talk about math and rap, two of my favorite things. And I feel like that is becoming a theme with these videos I've been making. They're usually some of my favorite things. So far, they've been just my favorite things. Um, but yeah, so I want to talk about math and rap. I want to talk about how they connect to one another. I want to talk about how math is used in rap. And I want to talk about this in a couple different ways. I want to talk about like the writing process from someone who does do some rapping in my spare time, and I want to talk about how math is used in that and how math is used when you're actually rapping, and then I want to like talk about, well, what about a listener, like what do you kind of respond to, and then I want to talk about like how math relates to the world in the meta context. So when it comes to rap, I think it's amazing because like there's a lot of parallels for me personally, like for both, because I feel like in both there's been a lot of work that have led to it, right? And there's a lot of things that you could do, and both can actually be more expressive than you think. And I think like with rap, a lot of people don't necessarily get it, and I think that's unfortunate. And it's the at the time of the recording, it's the most popular music genre in the world, and so many people still don't get it. They think it's simple, or they think rap is talking, and neither of those things is true. It's not as simple as some people would think, and B, it's not just talking, right? Like there's a rhythm to it. There's a flow, like right. And I want to get into that, and so I want to start with like writing and how that goes. So you might have a piece of paper, you might have your pen and your pad, or you might be on a computer. But either way, when you're writing things out, you might be writing out your lines and doing your rhymes and all that good stuff. And you might have a sense of how long you actually want to make it. Um, and in doing so, with each line, you're doing some math, whether you realize it or not. Now, some people actually do take time to take each line and count up the syllables and making sure that like everything adds up to what they want to at each line. And then there's the idea that there's also like a flow, and people might have a certain way they want to flow to bring it all together. But when you're writing it out, right? For me, I just tend to like think about things and then like write it down. These days, I haven't had a lot of time, so I've been doing it bit by bit. But the whole thing is like I'm looking at things, and I might have a theme that I'm going for. Um, and at the end, I think I will actually go ahead and rap. I have at least like two in there, like about math and rap, but it doesn't have to be about that. But I digress again. So when you're actually writing things out in that construction process, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, chances are you are counting up the syllables, right? And you're seeing how that works with your flow, and you might have different flows for different situations. You might have a different theme that you're going on, so you might have an idea of like, well, how do I want these things to connect? So you have to have an idea of the mechanics for rapping, and you have to learn some things. And it's the same with math. You have to learn your rules. You have to learn your vocabulary so you can learn more about that topic. And you need to pull things together. And so I think that's amazing. And then when you're actually like rapping, um, you know, you're keeping in mind like how things flow, how things are going. And so yes, you have your lines and you've been doing math in those lines, but you're also keeping a rhythm to it when you're actually rapping, and you also want to pay attention to your like your cadence. So like you can kind of think about it as a way to like punctuate each line with a rhyme. Like and so I think that's interesting because there's a lot of math that goes into it, and there's a lot of people like within the industry. There's a lot of people outside of it where they are actually counting it up. Now, me personally, like I don't consciously do it. Well, sometimes I kind of do, or but it doesn't usually start that way. But I do count things up too, whether I realize it or not. Um, and so that gets interesting. And then the other thing is like, well, what about the beat? Can't forget about that. Like a lot of times, right? People talk about, well, this person on beat or that person on, like, were they not on beat? So a lot of times, like, you are making sure that you're keeping up with your flow and keeping up with your beat and paying attention to both of those things. You need to be counting whether you realize it or not, and you need to be keeping up with that rhythm. You need to be keeping up with that flow. And I think both of those are, like, they're tough to do, but you could do that. And for my personal process, like, I've made some beats, and I've also, like, used different instruments too. I make rap metal, like, fun fact. Um, and I also made just metal, and I've also made just rap. Um, and with the rap, I tend to choose, like, like hip hop type beats for that. Um, and that could be fun. But in all those cases, I'm using math and I'm tying it together. And whether I'm doing it intentionally or not, I'm either matching things up before or I'm matching things up after. And the way I usually do things when I'm writing something is, like, I will write it out. And like I said, I'm counting whether I realize it or not. And then when I'm actually testing out, the flow, assuming I didn't already know which one I'm going to use, I tend to start with the rap and then build the music around it. And I tend to make that match up the longer that I've been doing all that. So I think that's pretty cool. And then, like, on a larger level, there's, the business side of it, right? So, it all ties up, right? Because you have, like, if you're a creator and you're writing your rhymes and all that, right? You're doing a lot of math in that, and if you're a listener, you know, certain things are appealing, and you're kind of counting along and paying attention to the rhyme. You're paying attention to the flow, whether you realize it or not. You are, and if it's disrupted, you'll know. Or if someone's not doing their best, sometimes you can tell there too. Like, when it comes to on beat or off beat, um, I don't know. Like, if something's off beat but it's still good and they flowed, then you don't usually notice. I feel, or at least me personally, I don't really notice, so it doesn't bother me. Someone has to be kind of like egregious with it. I feel, but I do think, like, when someone's particularly on, you can know. Like, you kind of notice. You're like, okay, I see what you did there. So yeah, rap on that larger context, like, a lot of times, you have to know going in, or like know someone in the industry to get a good sense of how the business side works. But you definitely want to know what money is flowing in, or if you're making deals, you want to be on top of things with that. You want to have a good idea. You want to do your research on it. You want to see how you're charting. You want to do all that, and math is in all of that. And so I think that's interesting. And so I'm just keeping an eye on the time for the video. I don't want to get too long. So what I'm gonna do, and you all see how you think about it. But I'm going to, like, rap, and this time it won't be like about math and rap. And then, like, if you notice some patterns, like, feel free to talk about that. Or if you have your own thoughts on math and rap, feel free to talk about it. But so I don't know if you're ready, but here it goes. So, Professor Prime is my name, and changing the game is my claim to fame. I'm about to spit so much fire, engulf the entire world in flame. No rest for the wicked, my insomnia explain. I'm going out of my mind, out of my brain, going insane. Can I contain, constrain, refrain, restrain? Can I maintain? This word has earned my derision, and not the origin has incited precision, incision, and it's become a mission to end all tradition. In my decision to fulfill a horrible premonition, this world set ablaze what I envision. So I'm gonna burn it down, start it all over, and call it Professor Prime Edition. So, yeah, you gotta have fun with it. You gotta get inventive with it too, if you really get into it. And I find it can be very liberating. And I've also found that being a mathematician has helped me become a better rapper. And when it comes to being a rapper, that's actually helped the math flow faster to me. Like, that's what it's done. Like, so there's a lot of back and forth, and I'm a big fan. So I hope someone got something out of this that you might think about a little differently. And hearing a little bit about my process, I hope someone found that interesting. I certainly did, but I'm biased, so you know. Anyway, like I said, I don't want these to get too long, so I'm gonna call it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Professor Prime out.